Good evening, I'm Nashika and this is chale.news. Tonight, soldiers showing up to move court-restrained Galamsey excavators, the flood story taking a dark new turn with disease warnings, and Ghana's diplomatic standoff with South Africa getting more complicated by the hour. A lot happened today, let's get into it. We've been watching Ghana's Galamsey crackdown closely, and this development is alarming. Two soldiers from the engineering regiment showed up at the Tano Anwia Forest Reserve on July 3rd, apparently to move 34 seized excavators. The problem? A high court injunction explicitly blocks that move, and a criminal case is still live. Nobody has explained what those soldiers were doing there. If the crackdown is being quietly dismantled from the inside, that is a serious rule of law crisis. After nearly a week of waiting, the Ghana Armed Forces have finally been deployed for a national post-flood cleanup, and the government says relief items are now reaching displaced communities. Nearly 90,000 people have been affected. Better late than never, but the questions about conflicting relief figures haven't gone away. And here's where the flood story gets darker. Public health advocate Susan Adwoa is warning that with 90,000 people still displaced and stagnant water everywhere, cholera, malaria, and typhoid are the next threat. Ghana's death toll sits at 34. No government disease response plan has been announced. The next wave of casualties may not look like a flood at all. Full breakdown on chale.news. South Africa update, and it's getting messier. Ghana's High Commissioner Benjamin Kwashi has formally demanded the autopsy report and full case file on slain Ghanaian Bashiru Isaka after South African authorities gave conflicting timelines for when he actually died. The mission is also questioning why documents were being sent directly to Accra, bypassing the High Commission entirely. That detail matters. Meanwhile, a viral video out of South Africa shows white residents firing live rounds to repel anti-immigration protesters at a barricaded road. People were running. This adds a racial dimension to the xenophobic crisis that has already cost Ghanaian lives, and it's not calming down. Former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu has publicly warned Ken Ofori-Atta not to return to Ghana, calling the ongoing investigations against him a political witch hunt. Amidu, who resigned his own anti-corruption role citing political interference, says state agencies are being weaponized against political opponents ahead of 2028. Strong words from someone who's seen that system up close. A 19-year-old's viral video is forcing a conversation nobody wants to have. She claims a Galamsey operator infected her with HIV and is threatening to retaliate. Ghana's national HIV rate is 1.7%, but it runs far higher in artisanal mining communities. Enforcement crackdowns never touch this side of the crisis: young women, sex work, and the exposure that follows. Read the full analysis on chale.news. Some practical news for flood-hit businesses. The Ghana Association of Bankers says lenders are ready to restructure loans just as they did during COVID-19. If your business took damage, contact your bank directly to renegotiate repayment terms. Ghana's rice farmers are losing up to 84% of their harvests, not to drought, not to floods, to invasive weeds called a Shaiman killer and black jerry. Scientists from CSIR-CRI and Korea's Copia project are 3 years into developing solutions. Farmers are still waiting. That number, 84%, should be front-page news every day. On the NPP's rebuilding road, former chairman Afoko, now running for the party chairmanship, says the NPP is unwell. He pointed to the drop from 160 MPs to around 88 and warned that even Bantama, once considered untouchable, is no longer safe. That's a significant admission from within. 33 LLB students at UBIDS were quietly dropped from the graduation list on the eve of Saturday's ceremony, after families had already traveled from across Ghana to be there. They've filed an urgent petition to the vice-chancellor. A year's delay in their legal careers and no clear explanation. That's an institutional failure. Adwoa Safo has broken her silence on the Kristo Asafo church shooting. She says she was acting solely on her late father Apostle Safo's deathbed instruction, not pursuing leadership or inheritance. She also raised concerns about how slowly justice is moving. A lot of people have been waiting for her to speak. The Black Stars World Cup campaign is over. Ghana fell 1-0 to Colombia. Musician Chris Waddle went viral blasting captain Jordan Ayew's performance, while Sports Minister Kofi Adams urged the squad to stay united and look ahead. Ghana is processing this one. The conversation isn't done. For Black Queens fans, CAF has moved Ghana's WAFCON base camp from Fez to Casablanca. They face Cape Verde on July 29th, Cameroon on August 2nd, and Mali on August 6th, all at Moulay Rashid Stadium. Let this one land. Madam Ima Zainabu Dagomba is 100 years old. She's been drawing a SSNIT pension since 1993, 33 years. She was honored at a ceremony today, and she still rents a single room in Wa. She made a public appeal for housing, 33 years of contributions, and that's where we are. That's the Evening Digest, Chale. Every story we covered tonight and the full reporting behind it lives at chale.news. Stay informed, stay sharp. Good night.